I recognize the member for Ottawa Centre.
Thank you, Speaker. I am honoured to have the opportunity to pay tribute to Michael Cassidy today, former leader of the Ontario NDP, former member of Provincial Parliament and MP for Ottawa Centre. And I want to begin, as I have in the past, by talking about how I knew him, because I really do think it says something important about Michael. We actually were not close friends. We didn't have long dinners or deep conversations about politics. What I knew of Michael, I knew through work. And what I can tell you is this: every time there was work to do, whether it was knocking doors, raising money, turning out for a candidate, showing up at an event, Michael was there. He never needed to be asked twice. He never made it about himself. He just showed up. And that might sound like a small thing, but anyone who has ever run for office, organized a campaign, knows how rare it is. There are many people who were once important in a party and then, when their time in the spotlight passed, quietly disappear. Michael Cassidy was not one of those people. Long after his years as leader of the Ontario NDP, long after his time in the legislature and in Parliament, he kept showing up for Ottawa Centre and for the party. And what a history he carried when he walked through those campaign doors. Michael came from movement stock. His father was a founder of the CCF, the party that became the NDP, and a pioneer in Canadian social policy. And Michael didn't just inherit those values, he lived them. He was first elected to Ottawa City Council in 1970 and then to the Ontario Legislature. He held Ottawa Centre for over a decade through victories and difficult years, through being leader and stepping down from leadership, and through everything that comes with a life in public service. He became leader of the Ontario NDP in 1978 following the legendary Stephen Lewis. And if that sounds daunting, I am certain that it was. He was the most left-wing of the leadership candidates in a party that was still finding its footing after a period of real promise. He often faced headwinds. He led through a difficult election. And then when it was time, he stepped aside. And he kept showing up. He went on to win Ottawa Centre federally in 1984 by just 54 votes. And for those of us who have sweated through close elections, we know what that means. It means every door was knocked, every phone call was made, every hour of volunteering mattered. Michael knew that. He had lived it. And so perhaps that's why in the years that followed, he was so unfailingly willing to give those hours to others. He was also, I want to note, ahead of his time in ways that matter. In the 1970s and 80s, Michael was fighting to add sexual orientation to the Ontario Human Rights Code to protect queer people from discrimination and eviction. And that took courage then, in a way that is hard to fully appreciate now. But Michael did it anyway. There's a certain kind of political figure who is defined by the heights they reach, by the titles, the offices, their moments of power. Michael Cassidy had those moments. But I think the truer measure of him is what he did after. The fact that decades later, he was still knocking on doors and still willing to do whatever was needed without fanfare, without expectation. I now have the honor of representing Ottawa Centre, the same constituency Michael fought for across so many years and so many elections. I feel the weight of that history, and I feel the presence of everyone who, over the decades, gave their time and energy and commitment to making the riding a place that elects people who believe in fairness, in justice, and in the dignity of every person. Michael Cassidy was part of that long line of commitment, and I am grateful for it. And to his family who are here with us today, thank you for sharing him with us and with Ottawa Centre for so many years. He showed up for us, and we commit to always remembering him. Thank you, Speaker.